everybody. Welcome to the You Can Show, your weekly dose of faith, motivation, healing, and action. I'm Dr. Nina Addison, your You Can specialist. And every week we help you move from self doubt to confidence using the You Can method. See it, break it, believe it, build it, and become it. So get ready to grow, shift, heal, and take action. Why? Because you can. I'm so excited about today's show, y'all. I know. She always excited. But this is episode 51. Can y'all believe it? Shameless, not shameless. Plug. We're gonna stop saying shameless plug. It ain't shame. We ain't gonna well, shameless. Okay. But we ain't even gonna put the word shame in it. Okay. Plug. That's gonna be my new thing. Okay. Plug. Next week is episode 52. 1 full year. You know, it's 52 weeks in a year, right? 1 full year of the You Can Show. And we are doing it big. So y'all make sure that you are here next Monday at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on ICU Radio 97.3 or via the podcast on YouTube. I'm so darn grateful. I'm so darn happy. I'm so darn excited. We are launching the book right there during the live show on ICU Radio as well as on YouTube via the podcast. We will be launching the You Can method. You're going to get to see the book for the very first time. So no pictures will be shown or anything prior to June 1st. So you want to make sure you're here. You want to make sure you're watching on YouTube. You want to make sure you're listening on 97.3 so that you can see the full book and you will hear some of the reading from the book. It's going to be awesome. So be there. And then join me on Facebook Live after the show for us to discuss more about the book and launch it live there as well. So that's my plug, not shameless plug, because I ain't no shame or shameless, none of that. Okay. So I'm excited. Now, let me tell you what today's show is about. Today's show is called Resilience and Recovery. And I have an amazing guest with me. When I say amazing, y'all, this is my sister from another mister, okay? But God, the blood, I always say the blood of Jesus just binds us close anyway, okay? Ain't no blood thicker than the blood of Jesus. So that's my sister, period. And we got a chance to graduate with our doctorate, I'm going to say bachelor's, with our doctorate degrees together. And so I'm going to read some of her bio so you can see how amazing she is, the things that she's overcome, and then we're going to get right into it because she is an amazing ball of amazingness, period. And she is absolutely a superhero. I say anyone with a disability is a superhero. She wasn't born with one, but you're going to learn so much about her that you're going to be like, oh my goodness, how can I contact her? And we're going to make sure you know how to contact her as well. I call her Kay, so I got to make sure I say her name right. Dr. Chekesha L. Ellis. Is it Chekesha or Chekesha? See, this is a radio show, so we can
It's
talk.
Chekesha.
Chekesha. So I listen, and that's why you be having to ask, because I be always calling her Chekesha, and I be like, that ain't her name, is Chekesha. It's spelled like Chekesha, but it's Chekesha. So
Yep.
everybody that's listening to this that know my sister, don't be calling her Keisha. She ain't Keisha in these streets. She's Chekesha, okay, period. Chekesha L. Ellis is a national recovery advocate. You heard that? National. A TEDx speaker, author, and founder of Colossal Clarity. Okay, she gonna say it better for
It's
y'all,
pronounced
cause
chaos.
chaos,
It's my
chaos
name,
dot
K.
clarity. Did I say it
Chaos to
right?
clarity.
Chaos to clarity. Okay, see, reading is fundamental. An organization focused on mental health awareness, addiction recovery, and community healing. After overcoming a 10-year battle with substance use disorder and losing her hearing due to opioid, y'all, listen, let
Opioid.
me explain something to you. I've
Opioid.
been studying her other bio, and then she's so awesome. She popped this new bio on me, and I'm like, oh, dang, Nina. Okay. Opioid, okay? Toxicity. She transformed her pain into purpose and has become a nationally recognized voice for hope, resilience, and recovery. All right, y'all. Let me get this. I'm gonna get this out. If it's any word that I'm like, because I ain't gonna lie, I ain't perfect with the words. I be needing to read it like 3 days in advance. That's my fault. Dr. Ellis, y'all heard that? Dr. Ellis has been featured on 6 ABC Philadelphia, Field 17, radio stations, podcasts, and multiple publications, okay? And she's an author, okay? Including 5 as a contributing writer for the Philadelphia Inquiry. She is a certified peer recovery specialist, TEDx speaker, recipient of the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award, and honorary doctorate recipient from what? The Good Life Christian University. Whoop, whoop. Through her advocacy, faith, and powerful testimony, Dr. Ellis continues to inspire communities across countries with her message. Healing happens in community. Isn't that powerful? I'm glad I mentioned she was an author because I don't even think she mentioned her book, her amazing book. But don't worry, we're going to get into it and y'all going to know a little bit more about it, how you can get it, and all of the things because that's a book you definitely want on your shelf. So, hi, Dr. Ellis.
Hello, Dr. A. This is long overdue.
Very much so, very much so. But you see, I butchered so much. I'm gonna go on and let you introduce yourself to the people, cause your sister
Well,
butchered too many words. Okay, so go
yes,
ahead and
my,
tell the
my
people who you
bio
are.
is,
What you
yes,
say?
thanks for having me.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you
you
for
for
having me.
coming and being a part. Like I've been stalking her
Yes,
since probably the first show. I've been stalking her. I am. But I was like, listen, this first year ain't ending without me getting you on the show. So I stalked her a little bit. I did. I stalked her just a little bit because y'all don't understand how powerful she is. Her testimony is amazing. I don't care what type of addiction you've been through. She just told y'all. Well, she gonna tell y'all. She was addicted for 10 years, but and then lost her hearing. But she's out here
yep,
advocating, helping. She's in the community. She's not just doing it on her own or only. No, she's in the community. So let me be quiet. Please tell the audience who you are in your own words.
yes. So I am a national advocate, TEDx speaker, addiction recovery advocate, mental health advocate, and I am a mother of a 14-year-old boy named Houston. He is my sunlight,
Shout out to
and
Houston.
yes, he's my sunshine, spelt with a sun, like SON.
Oh,
Yes, and he given me a new. When I had my son, he's given me a new outlook on life, just from everything I've been through. So I advocate for different things, and I'm here today. This is long overdue. Me and Dr.
yeah.
A, as you said, we graduated together, and we were supposed to do this last year. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Time sure passes.
It does. It does. But we're here
Yep,
now, praise God, hallelujah, because it's somebody that needs to hear your testimony, your story, your
definitely.
advocacy right now at this
Hmm.
moment. God does everything in perfect time. And so I know this is not an accident that is happening right now. And so
It's about the timing.
yep. Timing is everything, right? Timing is everything.
Hmm.
I would love for you to tell people a little bit of your backstory. Like, how did you even get addicted to opioids? And
Right,
how did you, tell them that part of the story. And then we're going to get into, because sometimes people need to know where we came from, what
right,
took us through, where we, things, because people can relate. And sometimes people
right,
are so afraid to share their testimony that it's hard for people to relate because they don't know that they could get through because they haven't seen anybody else get through. But you are an amazing
right.
testimony and you don't hide it. So can you tell the people a little your background story?
Yes. So I am advocating for people nationwide because I had a great life in 2000. I fell, injured my knee at work, and a doctor prescribed me hundreds of opioids after the procedure. And I had never did any substances at the time. I was 27 years old. My whole life was ahead of me, and I started taking the substances, and I fell in love with them right away. I guess you could say maybe it took maybe a few weeks, a month. I noticed that I started feeling different, and not just for the pain for the surgery, but I felt like this medication makes me feel happy. It makes me feel powerful, and I just loved it. So my addiction was born, unbeknownst to me, in the early 2000s after that knee surgery and taking the Lorcet hydrocodone. It turned into a 10 dark year pathway. I'm talking it was one of the darkest moments that any person could picture living in. I experienced depression, suicidal ideation.
Mm.
I experienced so many things, and living in my addiction for that decade, I had no clue what I was even dealing with. I didn't know what I was. I didn't know. I hadn't heard of addiction. I haven't heard of the opioids. None of those things that I went through in that period of my life, I've ever heard of a person taking opioids and loving them. When I started taking them, I look at the bottle. I'm like, why can't I buy these over the counter? I wasn't explained properly. Everything wasn't explained to me about opioids and what the dangers are. But 10 years, my life was caught up in a dark trap. And I basically supported my habit. It wasn't like traditional. I'm saying traditional because most addictions, people look at it as a person on the street corner or a person outside or, homeless,
Yeah.
unhoused. My addiction was spent looking just the way I do. I was glammed up and I was suffering in silence in my house. And the way I supported my addiction was doctor shopping and pharmacy hopping. It was 70, 60 something doctors over the 10-year period. It was many pharmacies. It was pharmacies all over. And I actually hopped on a flight and came to Atlanta, went to Atlanta for a doctor and for a prescription.
Wow.
So I was desperate, and I wasn't like, my addiction didn't look like a addiction of a person people look at and they see addiction. There are so many stereotypes with substance use disorder and mental health. But I went through that, and my 9th year of my substance use, I started going deaf and realized that an audiologist told me I was losing my hearing from opioid toxicity, which is a rare complication that can happen. But I know a lot of people that use substances and say that they are experiencing ringing in their ears and tingling and things like that. And that's how I went to deaf in 8 months. I found recovery by God's grace and mercy. And might I add that, I was raised in a Christian home. My dad was a bishop. He passed away in 2017. My mom is a first lady. She's still on the motherboard, and I love her. My mom was a very big part of my recovery, her and my dad. And, when I say that it's so important to instill godly kingdom way in our children,
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, at the time when I was younger, growing up in the home, I didn't think any of that was beneficial at the time
Yeah.
until growing into a grown adult and actually having to resort back to the baby K, the little girl in me, that had my mom hold me with her arms wrapped around me in the bathtub because I was, going through extreme withdrawal when I got clean, cold turkey, which I
Wow.
don't recommend because it's very dangerous to overcome, or I mean to try and cold turkey any sense without a doctor care. But I was desperate. I had lost my hearing. I was dead when I stepped into recovery, and my mother nursed me through um a brutal month of very extreme complications from not having opioids. So I always thank my mom. She is in my book.
Yeah.
And going through that, I encourage people all the time. Recovery is possible, and there are many pathways, but never cold turkey because it's too dangerous with the drugs that are out now on
Yeah.
the streets. But I found recovery in 2010, and it was one of the scariest moments of my life. And I had an aha moment, and these moments can define our lives. It's a
Yeah.
moment where you get a second to say, you know, God is out to you. He's giving his hand, and you don't have time to say, hold on for a minute, go grab this, let me do that, let me get my kid. You have to render at time. And that's aha moment. It's a moment it's a revelation moment where you realize that your life had changed or you die. And I knew that what I was experiencing in those 10 years was overdosing my own medicine. And I mean, really, I was taking 35, 40 pills a day because my body's tolerance had grown from taking the medicine for so long. You can't take substance for a long time and think that you're going to need the same amount to feel the way you feel. So at some point, you're gonna increase your dose and you're gonna keep on to what. And that's why for some people their threshold is so high for different substances because of their least tolerance. So, I found my way through the darkest moment, and I to a moment where, do you remember the 700 Club with Pat? What was his name?
I have no idea. I
So it
remember
was
the 700 Club, but I don't, know about it that I could
well,
think
the
of. But
host,
I remember seeing it.
right? So it was a show back in the day where it come on TV, and Pat, I think his last name was Pat Robertson. I can't remember his last name if that's correct, but I remember he used to have these prayers where he prayed people to say prayer. He prayed people through things, and the day I surrendered, this is how I knew that it was about the timing, because I was at a pharmacy trying to fill a forward script, and the cops were called, and something told me to walk up, and I walked out the pharmacy at that moment, and they kept my script, so I knew that the DEA was looking for me, and that I was going to go either get incarcerated for like 10 years for prescription fraud, or I was going to die from overdosing and different like that. So when I got in my car that day, I was just like, I looked up in my sunroof and I surrendered. I said, I can't do this no more. I'm going to die. I literally saw my life flash before my eyes 100 times,
My God.
and nobody really understood the depths of my addiction, how deep it was, how far I was gone, and I was like kicking in a glass house, and people just saw me on the outside, glammed up at parties, looking good.
Yeah.
So when I had that moment, I surrendered. And when you're going through extreme withdrawal from opioids, the first thing that really happens, the heaviest symptom that comes over you is sleepiness. It's heavy. It's like
Mhm.
it's a drunken sleepiness. It makes you
Yeah.
feel like you're like just out of it. I had to drive literally 40 miles to Delaware to my home at the time from that parking lot of pharmacy where I was at. And I prayed that God, said, Father God, please get me home safely
Yeah.
without having any accidents. I was scared to death, but I made it home. And when I got on my couch, then that's when my journey began. I text mom and dad. I said, Mom, I need help because I'm going to be very sick, and I'm going to need someone here physically to help me get through this. So my mom texted me back and said, me and your dad will be there in the morning. And that is when my journey started. They came, my dad poured the holy oil on my forehead and began to pray with me. And, going back to that prayer that I prayed with a 700 Club, that was the prayer I prayed on the couch before my parents even got there. Like I was literally with a bucket. My bathroom was downstairs. I was so sick. And I was by myself. I was scared, and I got on my knees when Pat Robinson said, pray that prayer. And I prayed it, and I added my own talk to God, talk to him like he's a real person, because he
Come on.
is. And I talked to him, and that was it. My mom came down, they prayed over me, and miraculously, by God's supernatural grace and mercy, I was
Yeah.
I was delivered from my opioid addiction, August the 8th, 2010.
Yes. August 8th. I'll never
Yes.
forget you telling me that date.
August the 8th, 2010 was a day of revelation for me. And, I want to inspire anyone that whatever your substance of choice is, however long you've been using, however many overdoses, however many relapses or reoccurrences is what we call them in non-stigmatizing language. Their recovery, it looks is so big. There are 20 million Americans living in recovery today, and I'm one of that 24 million. So please know that there is hope for you, and there are multiple ways to recovery. So I, got off those opioids, and I didn't have no kids at the time. So I was literally like a baby, being like learning how to walk, talk, eat,
Yeah.
conversate, socialize. I had to learn. It was like having a serious situation like a stroke. And you know how they say people have to learn
Mm.
how to walk, talk. Addiction is crippling, and it made me have to learn everything all over again.
Wow.
So walking into it was just like it was staggering. It was like I didn't know what to expect, but
Wow.
God led the pathway. And as I was walking through this dark tunnel,
Mm-hmm.
it was so rough. It was so dark. But
Yeah.
guess what? I began to sight. And that's how I knew I made it through. That's how I knew I made it.
Yeah. I have a question for you. Did your parents know? So y'all lived in different states or cities, correct?
Say it again.
Your parents at this time when you were going through your addiction, were you all in different cities and states?
Yes, I was in Delaware. They was in New Jersey.
Okay.
And I would show up at church sometimes, but they didn't have an inkling. They didn't understand the depths of it, how deep I was in.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Did anybody know, although you were showing up, was there anybody who identified that you had an addiction?
I don't think so. And the craziest part about that is not even the doctors that were writing my scripts. I think these doctors knew, because they were getting kickbacks for writing opioids and stuff like that. So it was just like that's why I felt so alone because no one understood. People might have thought, yeah, people used to call me names like junkie or pillhead, but they didn't really understand the depths of it. When I say depths, it's like I had fell down into a tunnel, but I was at the bottom.
Yeah,
Literally, I was at the bottom.
that's deep.
Nobody had an inkling of a clue.
And so when they were calling you junkie and stuff like that, they were just joking, not realizing that it was something serious.
Because they used to see me nodded out. That was what I did. Everywhere I was just nodded out. Everywhere I was nodded out. So people didn't know that I was really a person suffering with substance use disorder. I don't call myself an addict
Right.
because that's stigmatizing language to me, but I was a person that was in a dark place, and I had a lot of people around me that didn't understand. They didn't understand that, hey, I'm out looking good, I'm partying, at the end of the night, I'm crashing out. I'm nodded out, I'm trying to drive home, I'm waking on other sides of bridges,
Wow.
driving home from a nightclub and waking up on the other side of a very narrow bridge here. It's called Tacony Palmyra Bridge. I woke up. The bridge is enough room to pass the car. That's it. It's even if you fumble in the car and your wheel go this, you might hit somebody's mirror crossing. That's how
Wow.
narrow this bridge is. And I just was doing lots of risky things. And when people saw me nodded out, they started calling me like pillhead, junkie, and things like that. And that is why I'm a fair, robust advocate against stigmatizing language and judging people in their storms when you don't know what the depths of is. You
Yeah.
know, addiction is a brain disease. It is not a moral failing. And as I said, recovery is possible, and there are many pathways and ways that you have just you can entertain the thought of one recovery. You can think to yourself, because some people are so lost they forget how life looks. They forget the hope that they got if the
Yeah.
hope is gone. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to get that back to you. I'm saying if you can entertain a thought, that is a
A thought.
step into recovery. If you can just think to yourself, what can I do? Like, what is my next steps? Can I get child care? Can I find someone to keep my son? Can I have my job? Can I talk to my boss and see if he can help me with this? Is there any insurance policies that can cover me staying at work for 6 weeks? Listen, there are functional people showing up at work every day.
Mm-hmm.
Last Saturday, a week ago, I just did a panel with the Democratic Club, which I'm a member of, with local change makers in the community and politicians and congressmen and people like that. And I sat down with them and I talked about mental health and how it is functional. It is a functional disease. It is not something where people are tweaking out and jumping and these things happening. But mental health is really my top focus because addiction is in that basket because it's a brain disease and it's
Mm-hmm.
like so.
Yeah.
I just try to give people hope and let them know that starting with the thought,
The
having a
thought.
conversation with someone can mean that you might want to change. You want to change your life and find a better way.
Y'all, see, and we did not talk before this about what she was going to say or anything. I promise you, we did not. But what she just proved to you all that the you can method works. The first step in the you can method is see it. Not necessarily see it in the physical, but see it in your mind. Have that thought. See something different. If you have a thought, that could change everything. And then she talked about the phase she went through, which is what I call the break it phase. It was painful. She
Wow.
did it cold turkey. She knew it was, going to be hard. So she called for the help. In that phase, she called for the help and she went through it. She felt like she had to learn everything over again, but she was willing to break it and she believed that she could recover and become who she was always meaning to become. And now she is constantly building and becoming. She's building through her advocacy, through her work, through knowing that she said the word try, but no, she's out here doing the work. She's not trying, she's doing the work. She's showing up in these different places to prove to people that you do not have to live in that past. You do not have to live in your addiction. You do not have to live in whatever mistakes you've made. You can become who God has always ordained for you to become. She had no idea that she was going to be speaking about the You Can method. And this is why I always tell you all the You Can method is a proven method. Everybody lives it at some point of their life in different ways. And my good sister, Dr. K, is here telling you how she lived through and consistently lived through the You Can method. I don't care
You
what
know
you've
what?
gone through or what you deal
You
with.
know
Go
what,
ahead,
Doctor?
sis.
What I was going to say too. I didn't read the book yet, but I will be. But what I was thinking about was, many are called, few are chosen. That scripture, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
learned that. I learned that in my walk with the Lord.
Yes.
I learned that because there are so many people being delivered from things, right? And that's the many. That's
Yes.
the many that are called, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then you got few that are chosen, are the people that out
Mm-hmm.
from a burning building and they send that ladder back and they help other people. They feed
Yeah.
them everything they need to get through what they went through. And that is our responsibility as servants, public servants and
Oh,
servants, stewards, to go back and say, hey, you know what? Pick you up, sister. Pick you up, brother. I went through that. I was you. When I
yeah.
speak in my talk, I say, I'm not this high up. I was a person just like anyone else with addiction. I just recovered from it. That's the only
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
And God chooses the chosen ones. Like I always think of the movie The Golden Child.
Mm-hmm.
That kid had a mission, right?
Yeah.
And look what he went through to save the world. He had to eat bloody oatmeal. He had to
Mm-hmm.
go through all types of um, targets and courses and things. And this kid was being sold out. They were trying to kill this kid
Mm-hmm.
because that little boy he was a chosen one. And that's how
Mm-hmm.
I think about my life. That God handpicked us, the ones that are here doing the work. We
Yes.
weren't he that just got delivered and went back to our lives and raise our kids, and then that's it. The servitude comes when you raising other people's kids. You raise your kids and they go to college, and you say, you know what, this kid, mommy, and my son was that age. I got things to help him. Let me mentor this kid. I've been mentoring kids all of my life. Even when I was a kid, I was mentoring kids.
Yeah.
So I find that the favor of God is so heavy on me because I sow so many seeds,
Yes.
to help other people. And it's so important that we educate people on servitude. Some people don't know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
We have to show them through our what it is. We have to talk to them about it. Hey, look, you don't have to have money to help somebody. It's a lot
Yeah.
of other ways you can help people. And I live a life of service. That is what I do. That part of my business, that is what keeps me in recovery wellness.
I love it. I love it. And I know the sound was breaking up some, but I was able to capture, and I pray all of you that are listening live or via YouTube are catching what she's saying. And don't worry, I'm gonna have her back for part two because y'all, the time always goes, and I be angry at the time because we haven't gotten into half of her story. We haven't even talked about your hearing loss. So my gosh,
yeah,
and how, and those things. But we're gonna go over a little bit. So y'all stick with us. But y'all, I know y'all motivated and inspired. I know she like changing your life. And I'm gonna make sure she give y'all her information as well. But we're gonna do a quick one, but then I'm gonna have her back when what I call year two. I'm gonna have her back so that we can get more into her story, because I know this is giving hope to you all. Like, it's giving hope to me and I love it. But you did explain that you lost your hearing. Um and can you talk briefly? We're gonna come back with a whole episode about it. Briefly about
yeah.
your hearing loss.
I lost my hearing in 2009, and now I hear with bilateral cochlear implants. It's a surgery that I got in 2009. I got the right side done in 2013. In 2013, I got the right side. 2016, I got the left side. So that is how I'm able to hear you. Without them, I don't hear natural sound. And I had my first baby, Houston, the 14-year-old boy. I had him, and I heard his voice for the first time when he was 2 because I was deaf when I had him. So that is another layer of the story that's so inspiring. So, if you follow me on social media, you'll see a lot of the stuff that me and Houston just launched another initiative for the NICU families called the NICU Family Project. We launched it in Brewer Hospital a week ago, the hospital where he was in the NICU. It's always about serving. And I think that God allowed me to lose my hearing and hear again so that I can be able to do the work that I do.
So when she come back, that show gonna be hearing again. Okay. She
Definitely.
said I am gonna have her back, and it ain't gonna be far long. So y'all look forward to hearing more from Dr. K, because my goodness, her story is rich. But she did what was needed for today. We talked about timing at the very beginning of the show, and let you know that everything happens in timing. And so this show, share it with the person, people, anybody. There are people who may not know they're addicted. They may think, oh, this is legal, or this is okay, or nobody knows. And sometimes when people feel like nobody knows and they're functioning and they're able to go to work and they're able to do and they're able to move, they still don't realize the effects that it could have on their bodies and their mind and everything else. She's blessed. She's still here with us. But we definitely don't want any of our loved ones not to be here with us because it went too far or anything, or they got into an accident or anything. So share this, because sharing is absolute caring. I know we're over time, but we cannot end this show without you giving people a you can moment in 60 seconds or less. Give the people a little taste of you in the form of you can.
You can do anything that your mind to. And guess what? All it takes is a thought that you can do better, you want a better life, and it can happen.
Period.
That's it.
That's it. That's all. I want to thank you so much. Clock that. We clocking it. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day, your schedule to be here. And y'all, I promise y'all, it ain't gonna be a year before she comes back. Okay, it's gonna be. I'm gonna try to get her on July, August. Okay, once I meet with my team and we formulate the episodes for the future months, I'm gonna make sure I capture her early, because she's busy, but she's busy out there in the community making a difference. Tell people how they can contact you, reach you, and get your book. Let them know the name of the book too, because we ain't even get into the book. So we're gonna talk about all that in the next episode.
Right. So my book is called Chaos to Clarity. Listen to me. I'm talking about organization. My book is Resilience and Recovery: A Path to Hearing Again. It came out last year in March. It was #1 on Amazon in drug dependency and recovery. It's a great read. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram. All of my handles are the same, Dr. Chekesha Ellis. And my TikTok is Chaos to Clarity. Chaos is spelled with my name because Dr. A was like calling me Chekesha, but Chekesha. So everyone calls me K or K. That's how I got Chaos to Clarity, because I changed chaos to my name spelling. Chaos instead of with the C, chaos with a K. So Chaos to Clarity LLC was born when I used that. My name is a tagline. But all my social media handles are the same. I have very inspiring content. So check me out, and you can see all the work that the good trouble getting into, like John Lewis say.
Yeah, she getting into a whole lot of good trouble. And so y'all make sure y'all follow her. I will have all of her handles on my YouTube description. So make sure if you're listening to this live on ICU Radio 97.3, you head on over to YouTube at Nina Motivates and grab all of her handles. Click those buttons and make sure you follow her and grab her book. Her YouTube link will for the book will also her Amazon link to the book will also be on YouTube. So go and grab all of her information. Get your copy of the book. It's an amazing book. And another plug. I told you I want to do shameless plug. I am back doing strategy sessions. Dr. Chekesha utilized me for strategy sessions. Would you recommend it to anybody? Would you say that it's beneficial or not beneficial for books?
Strategy session with you, top tier. And the session that we had, it was when we first met, and I said, I was literally in disarray, with trying to figure things out with the project we were working on. But you were just very patient. Consistency is number one, is what I seek in any person or partnership. But I must say it was a great experience, and I would use you all over again 1,000 times. And I emerged you to a few of my friends.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so very much. And she has even had friends in some of my collaborations. So thank you. I
Yep.
appreciate you. And although I'm not publishing people's books anymore, you can book strategy sessions with me. And in that strategy session, we're able to talk about half-day experiences, which is not on my website because you need a strategy session first to even see if you need more work and more time with me, which is a half-day experience. So I want to thank you all so much for tuning in to the You Can Show. Again, thank you so much, Dr. K. You are amazing, and I cannot wait
Thank
to have you
you.
back on because the
Thank
people
you.
need this. They need what you got, okay? So for everybody who's
Definitely.
tuning in, huh?
Definitely.
Yeah. And so make sure y'all go to YouTube, grab all of her links, follow her, support her. I am backing her 1000%. So you all know, I want you to keep seeing greater, keep breaking limits, keep believing bigger, keep building bolder, and keep becoming intentionally. This is Dr. Addison here, the You Can specialist, reminding you that no matter what, you absolutely can. Until next week, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.